Let's Go Brandon Mania has swept across the country, but Brandon may have his revenge for one unfortunate Southwest pilot. So we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that and where this goes. The Trump Train Highway Skirmish has led to a lawsuit in which the people are suing for the fact that they called the police and the police didn't come. So we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that. Pfizer has authorized, or had the FDA authorize their shot for kids ages 5 to 11. So we'll go over just a bit about what's going on there. And the Chauvingers are speaking out for the first time about the George Floyd incident and the trial that they had to sit in with. It's going to be all this and more. To my corporate overlords here at Turn Some Pages Productions, don't investigate me for saying this, but let's go Brandon. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning and happy November, Edheads. My name is Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Welcome on in. I hope you had a great Halloween. I mean, is it... Let me turn the music down a little bit, huh? I guess, I mean, do we do Christmas music now? I mean, is everything running together here? Do we start doing the dance of the sugar plum berries, or where do we go with this from this point? I don't even know. I don't know what the rules are anymore. I keep looking around social media and I keep seeing, oh, well, this is just up around the corner, and see Mariah Carey, who is going to be in every goddamn department store coming up here. But I do have some playlists. I don't know what's all going to be YouTube friendly or not, but we'll have some Christmas music for sure. I know Pretzel Rocks has a Christmas station, so we'll probably talk about that, and we'll probably do some of that over there. I want to do the Spotify chiptunes one too, but I don't know if that's going to copyright pop me or not. I don't know. I guess we'll find out, but that's what we're coming into over here on Contemporary. And by the way, do we ever have a whole bunch of stuff to get to as well? It's been a crazy weekend. I didn't even pull the leftover from Friday because it's been so crazy at this point. And we still have a full rack of news to go with here, so we got to get right into it. But before we get started, make sure you guys go over, check out and bookmark TurnSomePagesProductions.com. Go and check that out. Something cool is coming very soon. As they say off here, we are still looking for donations to get ourselves started, get ourselves ready to go. Looking for a community. If you guys know somebody you want to pass around the GoFundMe, that'd be awesome of you. But we're still looking for about $1,500 for startup costs off of this here. But on top of that, if you go over there and help us out, you will have a wonderful place where you can come back and find great programs all together, such as the Daily Ignoramus, featuring Stephen Ignoramus, who will be featured on the Red and Edge show tonight after I get back from Kenosha. So definitely go and check his show out. He's a great guy. He's a great friend. He's probably one of my best friends. I'm always glad to see him around here. So I'm sure we'll be talking about Rittenhouse tonight, but go check that show out. Also check out the Porch Boys, the Freckles and Brit Show, the Breakdown with Birkenhoff, and the R-Rated Conservative, all over on the Turn Some Pages Productions Network. They're all helping us out. They're all pitching in. They're all coming together. And we are going to have ourselves a great page just as soon as we get the money up to pay the web developer. So go and check that out. And if you do want to help out, of course, we do have the GoFundMe. That is gofundme.com/f/help launch Turn Some Pages. That's what we have going on here. Like I say, we have a $2,000 goal. We've got about $500 raised to this, so I will be taking some time with that $500 and making sure we get the hosting done for a year, because, or what was it, a year or 2 years? I got to go ask Bobby Joe again, but I'll make sure that gets out there and done and ready to go. And yeah, go and check us out over there. All right, let's get the live chat up here so I can see you guys. Katie Zed says, no Christmas music yet. Is it Discount Razor Fist again? Yeah, I've been trying to figure out what did they mean. Because they told me that the beard doesn't come back when I take the costume off, and I'm realizing that they might have been right. I took my Halloween costume off, and my beard didn't come back. And my Instagram video already kicked back out. That's got to be something with my phone, because I just ran the entire cooking stream on Instagram on my tablet with no problem. I don't know. I guess we'll figure that out. I'm going to discard this and we're going to start over. How do you like that? That's what we're going to do. We're going to get started up here and let's go. Alright, so we're going to get into finance here. What else do we have? No Christmas music. Nice. Alright, let's get into it here. Let's start off with the Dow, as we always do here. The Dow was up 0.25%. So it pretty much had a flat day throughout the day, all day yesterday here, ending up at 35,819.56 at the end of the day. So that was up 89.08 points. A few things weighed on that, and we probably got a decent jobs report. So we'll see what's happening with that and where that goes. Looking at your Bitcoin, let's get a refresh off of this. Your Bitcoin is at $61,964 US dollars and 40 US cents. So relatively flat over the weekend. That's what we see coming off of that. And, well, you know, I looked at Shibu, and Shibu is also down slightly too, which that's going to be the new one. My Doge is holding pretty steady. But I lost a little bit off the Shibu. I hope that one comes back up, because that would be a great meme to come back out of. Plus, the fact that I have over 250,000 Shibu coin. If that one comes back, I'd be sitting pretty, well, really pretty right now. We wouldn't be begging for money off of GoFundMe, I can tell you that. But let the chips go where they go, and let's see what happens off of that. And we'll see what's going on with this. Scrap metal prices. On your averages, your copper is down. Your steel is up and your aluminum is down as well. Looking at the individuals, all coppers appear to be down, including brass and brass shells. BX steel is up, light iron is down, cast iron is up, and rotors are up. Looking in on aluminum, cans are up, but siding, copper fin, radiators are all down. Sheet aluminum and aluminum rims are up. So if you got those cans, well, hold on to them for a little bit because they seem to be continuing on the upswing. Man, did they ever need cans, but everything else, maybe it might be time to go grab some of that and bring it in. We'll see what happens with that and where the industrials go with that. Let's see what IBD has to say for the morning. Dow Jones futures rise as Fed taper looms for market rally. Tesla jumps its rival, hits buy zone. From Ed Carson. Dow Jones futures rose modestly Monday morning, along with S&P 500 futures and NASDAQ futures, with earnings, economic data, and a Fed taper in focus. The stock market rally had a strong gain last week, with the Dow Jones, S&P 500, and NASDAQ composite all hitting record highs. But did they stay there? That's the problem, because they just looking at the numbers we saw at the Dow, they didn't. Tesla rival XPeng, Edwards Life Sciences, and Google parent Alphabet are all in or near buy zones. Tesla stock popped, continuing its huge recent run. EW stock and Google are buyable now and have just gotten earnings out of the way. XPeng is hovering just above a buy point early Monday after XPeng released strong October sales. With the earnings likely a week or two after that, XPeng rivals NIO and Li Auto also reported October deliveries, with NIO reporting a huge decline. Li Auto is near a buy point as well. Tesla and Google are on the IBD leaderboard and the IBD 50. EW stock is on swing trader. Google is on IBD long-term leaders. For the Fed taper, after many months of inching towards a Fed taper decision, policymakers are expected to end this week's two-day meeting Wednesday by agreeing to scale back asset purchases and bring us to an advertisement up to the top of the article. Good on them. We always want to see the advertisement. I'm supposed to have ad blocker on, we still get the advertisement. Maybe because it's internal, I don't know. The actual policy would kick in at year-end. The $120 billion in monthly purchases, $80 billion in monthly treasury purchases, and $40 billion in government-backed mortgage securities would be cut back to zero by mid-2022. After that, Fed rate hikes could be on the table. Ooh, that's not going to do good going into an election year. While a stock market taper tantrum is always possible, the Fed decision certainly wouldn't be a surprise. With inflation expected to stay hot for some time, investors may welcome a shift away from easy monetary policies. Yeah, but we're also moving into a point where mid-2022, there are going to be a lot of people who are looking to move around and either get out of an apartment or buy a house, especially given the fact that people are starting to not depend on other people, which is a great thing that came out of the Biden admin. We talked about that on, I think, Thursday, because I don't think I did that in character, but you know, they've been passing around the question on social media. What is one good thing that's happened under the Biden administration? Oh, wait. Well, it's easy. People started to realize that the government didn't have their best interests at heart, so they started to be more self-sufficient. People started to look for an easier way to go and get property, or a better way to clean up their finances, because the government's not going to come and fucking help them, and they know that now. Some of them have deluded themselves into believing that for a long time, and some of them still do believe it. I will give them that. But for the most part, no. People have realized that the government is not coming to help them. So that's good. That came out of this whole shindig, shenanigan, everything else that went off with that. But we're going to be coming into this point where people are going to want to buy houses. They're going to want to go out and buy cars, buy stuff. This is going to cripple the auto industry if rates go up and people can't go borrow to buy a new car once the chip shortage ends. But I'm going to sit back with a tub of popcorn and watch with a lot of you guys. All right, on your futures, the Dow Jones futures rose 0.45% versus fair value. S&P 500 futures advanced 0.4%, and NASDAQ 100 futures climbed 0.4%. The 10-year Treasury yield rose 3 basis points to 1.59%. Crude oil futures climbed slightly China's official manufacturing index fell 0.4 points to 49.2 in October, weaker than expected and again below the break-even 50 level. Electricity shortages and rising costs may be taking their toll on factories, but the Cakes and Manufacturing Index rose to 50.6% from September's 50. Democrats are signaling they'll hold votes on the bipartisan infrastructure bills as well as the partisan reconciliation tax and spend package this week. The reconciliation bill's size, perhaps $1.75 trillion in spending over 10 years, remains in flux, as well as what programs will be included. The White House said Saturday if the U.S. and European Union have reached a deal on steel and aluminum tariffs. In 2018, President Trump imposed tariffs on European steel and aluminum, spurring retaliatory tariffs in a range of U.S. goods. The steel tariffs were set to double as of December 1st. Under the tentative agreement, Europe would be able to ship a limited amount of steel duty-free to the U.S. The deal also includes measures of carbon intensity in steel production that could offer new avenues for tariffs on Chinese steel. Which is probably why steel is on the way up, but everything else is on the way down. Most likely. Just kind of looking into what they're doing here with the European Union because, looking into the fact that we might tariff the shit out of Chinese steel, but still have some European come in duty-free as long as we have the carbon offset off of this. And then also copper and aluminum coming in out of those countries. We'll see. But that does explain the metal prices, definitely does. Also remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. All right, let's grab another one here from investing.com. Stay ahead of the curve, enable notifications. No! Go away. Dow futures rise 170 points, earnings, payrolls, and Fed in focus. Oh, there's my author, by Peter Nurse. I was about to say I've got no author given, but it's down underneath the picture. U.S. stocks are seen opening higher on Monday, starting the new month on a positive note as investors gear up for a week that includes a deluge of corporate earnings, a Federal Reserve meeting, and the U.S. official jobs report. At 7:10 a.m., the Dow futures contract was up 180 points or 0.5%. S&P 500 futures traded 20 points or 0.5% higher, while the NASDAQ 100 futures climbed 70 points or about 0.4%. The three major indices all closed at record highs on Friday, with the blue-chip Dow Jones rising 5.8% in October, the broad-based S&P 500 up 6.9%, and the technology-focused NASDAQ Composite 7.3% higher. Solid earnings have been behind those strong gains, and while many of the top names have now reported, a wider swath of companies is scheduled to release numbers this week. Away from earnings, Coca-Cola will be in the spotlight following a report on the Wall Street Journal saying that the soft drink giant is taking full control of sport drink maker Body Armor. American Airlines will also be in focus after weather and tight staffing rosters disrupted its weekend flying schedule, while gaming platform Roblox was hit by a lengthy outage over the weekend. If you guys remember Elaine at all, she used to host the Red Net Show with me. Her kid was really into Roblox, and I still don't know completely what it is, but I've seen some indicators. I know what it is. It has nothing to do with robots, by the way. But yeah, that was probably fun for a lot of parents out there. Their kids had to go back and play Minecraft again. The economic calendar. Let's see. Oh, we missed one. That said, most eyes this week will be on the two-day policy meeting of the Federal Reserve concluding on Wednesday, which is widely expected to result in the start of the tapering of its bond purchases. The gathering could also provide clues about when the central bank will increase interest rates, with the market now looking for the first hike in the summer of 2022. Which, there again, I look at this going into the midterms and people wanting to go out and buy homes. I do have to wonder if there is some strategy that goes along with this. For the fact that they're going to come back and hike this going into an electric year, which would otherwise, because these are all very liberal people, be political suicide, and you might hand the country back over to evil Orange Man, the evil Donald Trumpler. But on the other side of it, we're having another round where millennials are going to try to get into their first homes, even the upper 30s ones like me, where we're going to try to get into our first homes and realize that the interest rates are going to cripple us and kill us. And we'll have to go back and rent, and then we'll have to look back and say, oh, why can't I go off and rent? And this also coming into a season where, honestly, I don't know why the dude that owns this building keeps owning this building. Well, for the most part, I guess everybody here stayed paid up throughout the pandemic. But these other places where there were eviction moratoriums and people just looked at it and said, "Hey, I can't evict you. I'm going to stop paying my rent. I can't get evicted. Hey, landlord, fuck you, you rich prick bastard." Stuff like that. I wouldn't own a building for rental. Fuck that. In fact, when I bought a house, when I first started thinking about buying a house, back when I still lived in Redacted, the next town over, I was thinking about renting out a room in there just to help get the mortgage paid off quicker. Hey, at the time I was a single guy. I'm a single guy. I've got this house, and most of them I looked at were 3-bedroom. I got these couple extra bedrooms. Hey, you want to just stay here for a little bit? And we've got easy access to the UW. We've got easy access to Whitewater. We've got easy access to whatever the tech school is down in Janesville. We've got easy access to all these places. So, stay here. Let's say $700 a month. I think that would have been cool. But now I'm looking back at this and saying, the government can control when I can and can't throw somebody out of my home. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. So that's what we see off of that. But that's where we go from that. All right, let's get into the news of the day, shall we? Oh, I want to become famous. Where can I buy followers and viewers? All right. Anyway, let's get into this here. We're going to start off for the most part talking about the Lexico Brandon thing, but there are a couple little moves and shakes in the administration that we needed to talk about before we got into any of this. Starting here with the Associated Press. White House Press Secretary Red-Haired Bobblehead says she has COVID-19 from Amer Madani and Zeke Miller. White House Press Secretary and red-haired bobblehead Jen Psaki said Sunday she has contracted COVID-19 and is experiencing mild symptoms. Psaki, 42, circled back and said that she was last in contact with President Biden on Tuesday when she met him in the White House, where they were more than 6 feet apart and wearing masks. Biden, who is tested frequently, last tested negative on Saturday, according to the White House. Red-haired bobblehead did not accompany Biden on his trip abroad to Rome this weekend for the Group of 20 summit and next Glasgow, Scotland on Monday for a UN climate summit. Psaki had planned to travel with the president but scrapped the trip just as he was set to depart for Europe after learning that members of her household had tested positive for the pinko fucking pox. Since then, I have quarantined and tested negative via PCR for COVID on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Psaki said in a statement. However, today I tested positive for COVID. Psaki said she's only exhibiting mild symptoms. While Peter, while I have not had close contact in person with the president or senior members, let me read on to that a little bit more. Okay, Peter. So here's the thing: while I have not had close contact with the president or senior members of the White House staff since Wednesday and tested negative for 4 days after the last contact, I am disclosing today's positive test out of an abundance of transparency, Psaki said. White House staff and others traveling with the president have been undergoing daily tests for the commie fucking coof since before departing for Washington and are fully vaccinated. Many officials have also received booster shots due to close quarters environment and frequent travel associated with their work. So, with that being said, I need to know, and I maybe need to ask the administration, what news story is it that you don't want Jen Psaki talking to Peter Doocy about? Because that's one of the things that I've noticed about this with administration officials, especially in this administration. There always seems to be a medical reason when they don't want these people up and talking with people. I mean, look at Mayor Pete, who, in the midst of an unprecedented shipping crisis, decided that it was time for him to go on paternity leave, which I supported at the time. But given the fact that he continued to be on that, in spite of the fact that we are in a major crisis, tells me that there was some irresponsibility that went along with that. Oof. Oof, Randy. Oof. But yeah, it's... I don't know if she actually has the COVID or not. I would not be surprised to find out that there's some reason that they don't want to have press briefings or her at the press briefings coming up here in the near future. It might have something to do with the fact that the president allegedly crapped his pants in front of the fucking Pope. There's been no confirmation of his pants, and I did not check those pants. But that's been the joke that's been going around. So that's what we see coming off of that. And the other administration news that's going on with this: Buttigieg twins dress as infrastructure for Halloween. But if you go follow the article, and I tried to do this 3 or 4 times, not found. And they still give you the turn off your ad blocker. So I'm sure that they looked at this and said, yeah, that was probably in bad taste. Buttigieg twins dress as twin infrastructure for Halloween. Okay. Alright, let's talk about Brandon. We're going to start with that from the Daily Wire. Southwest Airlines pilot says, "Let's go Brandon." CNN analyst likens remarks to "Long live ISIS." From Ben Johnson. Oh my god, did they get video on this? Holy shit. Oh, that's amazing. Cool, we get to listen to that. I didn't know that was in this article. I'm always excited for video, yo. After a Southwest Airlines pilot reportedly ended an address to his passengers with the words, "Let's go Brandon" on Friday, a CNN analyst likened the man's remarks to the equivalence of something an ISIS terrorist might say. Colleen Long of the Associated Press said the incident took place Friday morning on a flight from Houston to Albuquerque. Video subsequently surfaced of an unidentified pilot uttering the anti-Biden phrase after welcoming the passengers to the flight. "Thank you for coming out and flying Southwest Airlines. Welcome aboard. And remember, let's go Brandon." Let's listen, because I didn't know there was video of this.
Please subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button. Thank you.
About 7 or 8 miles an hour. Good visibility, mostly clear skies, 77 degrees. Thanks for coming out flying with Southwest Airlines. Welcome aboard. And remember, let's go Brandon. About 7 or 8 miles an hour. Good visibility, mostly clear skies, 77 degrees. Thanks for coming out flying with Southwest Airlines. Welcome aboard. And remember, let's go Brandon.
Okay, why is homie drawing a fucking dog? Okay, I don't care about that.
Remember, let's go Brandon. About 7 or 8 miles an hour. Good visibility, mostly clear skies, 77 degrees. Thanks for coming out flying with Southwest Airlines. Welcome aboard. And remember, let's go Brandon.
So, well, that happened. CNN analyst Asha Rangappa, who we will be talking about later on with this, by the way, because she threw another one out there that we've got to go with, promptly referenced the murderous ISIS terrorist group while addressing the pilot's reported comment on social media. "As an experiment, I'd love it for a Southwest pilot to say 'Long live ISIS' before taking off," she tweeted. "My guess is that the plane would be immediately grounded, the pilot fired, and a statement issued by the airline within a matter of hours." Probably. Because "Long live ISIS" is a terroristic chant, and most of the people who are flying still remember a pre-9/11 world, and then remember what happened on that day. So a lot of people on that flight would probably be looking at this and say, Oh shit. We're going into a building, aren't we? That's a little bit different than a pilot coming out here and using a tongue-in-cheek phrase that's been memed into massive popularity, including one of the most popular songs that's finally been grounded on Apple Music. Rangappa, who's also a senior lecturer at Yale, that explains a lot, provided another example of legacy media critics indiscriminately comparing people presumed to be conservatives to terrorists, a trend that has metastasized from pro-life leaders and concerned parents at school board meetings. Ah yes, we get into the op-ed portion of this Daily Wire article. Others hurled terrorist accusations at the airline, which relaxed its COVID-19 vaccine mandate after being forced to cancel more than 1,800 flights. Lindy Lee, whom Vanity Fair describes as a Biden operative, tweeted Saturday that the airline's CEO opposes Biden vaccine mandate and won't fire anyone who defies it, thus condoning bioterrorism. Lee, who also called the pilot mentally impaired, recently appeared on CNN to denounce the heinous Texas pro-life law that protects unborn children from a fetal heartbeat from being aborted. Okay. Daily Wire writer? Ben Johnson? Not Shapiro. Ben Johnson? Let's try and stay on task here. Let's try and stay on topic. Southwest pilot screams out, "Let's go, Brandon," over the intercom, tweeted turned Texas black falsely. RT, if you won't book Southwest Airlines unless this pilot is fired. So, and yeah, we'll be going over that, but I mean, this is completely innocuous. And given the fact that a lot of people, like probably this pilot, almost lost their jobs over this vaccine mandate, I can imagine that they would want to go back and push back. Now, I want to be completely transparent about this. I do think that was unprofessional. Especially given the fact that this is going to come out and trigger people. But I wouldn't call for someone to be fired over it. And if I was a person who was triggered for this, I would just not give my money. I would not exchange currency with Southwest. I wouldn't start a social media campaign. I wouldn't do any of that. I just wouldn't fly there. And I am the first one to come off and say, when a company is being woke and they're wearing their politics out on their sleeve, I tend not to spend money with them. Because I want my experience shop. I do politics for a living. This is what I do. I sit up here, I talk on the camera, whether it be the Instagram camera or the webcam up there. I talk on the camera about politics. So when I am going out, grocery shopping, eating fast food, eating at a restaurant, at a department store, on an airplane, maybe not so much at the gas station, because I have a feeling that these people appreciate the fact that their gas is $3 a gallon and people are pissed. But even at the gas station, or how does Maxine Waters say? At a gasoline station! I want politics to be as far away from me as possible. Fuck, the only reason I still want to go spend money at Chick-fil-A is because they didn't technically get out and release their statement about gay marriage. Somebody had to go fucking digging for it in order for it to come back out. And I could still meme them out as the Lord's chicken because of that. So that's what we're saying. And yeah, a lot of people got pissed off. We can move on and talk about Newsweek here. From Newsweek, Southwest Airlines faces boycott threats after pilots reported use of "Let's Go, Brandon." From Natalie Colorasi. Southwest is facing a boycott after one of its pilots reportedly uttered a phrase over the plane's public address system that has been known as an anti-Biden slogan among conservatives. During a flight from Houston to Albuquerque on Friday, the Associated Press reporter said the pilot used the phrase "Let's go, Brandon" when signing off after greeting the passengers. Earlier this month, the phrase became code for saying "fuck Joe Biden" after a video went viral among a crowd at Alabama's Talladega Superspeedway. We'll be talking about that a little bit later on too. But first, we've got to get through everything else off of this. At the time, a journalist who was interviewing NASCAR driver Brandon Brown live on air mistakenly thought the crowd was chanting in support of the driver, saying, "You can hear the chants from the crowd, let's go Brandon." Moments later, No, it wasn't moments later. I listened to that same clip and it was abundantly clear what was being said at the beginning. Before she said that. Moments later, it became increasingly clear that the crowd was actually yelling out against Biden. The incident quickly went viral, sparking a flurry of memes and support from Republican lawmakers and supporters of the former President Trump, who have used the phrase as a G-rated substitute for its more vulgar three-word cousin, the Associated Press reported. Yeah, we have that article. We'll be reading that one a little bit later. Maybe I'll have to go get more coffee first. It's warm coffee season, folks. Last week, South Carolina Rep. Jeff Duncan wore a Let's Go Brandon face mask at the Capitol, while Florida Rep. Bill Posey ended a House floor speech using the phrase. Texas Senator Ted Cruz also posed with a Let's Go Brandon sign at the World Series, and Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell's press secretary retweeted a photo of the phrase on a construction sign this month in Virginia. So when Mitch's press secretary talks, does she or he, I don't know if it's a dude or a chick, but does the press secretary have to, clench his teeth together and talk the same way that Mitch McConnell does? Because I'm going to come out here. Does she have to give the message the same way that Mitch does? I don't know. Southwest has since faced a wave of backlash on social media. Some users are calling the airline to be boycotted or reprimanded for the pilot's reported use of the phrase. TV writer and journalist Brian Behar tweeted out Sunday, "It's bad enough Southwest doesn't offer assigned seats. I don't also need MAGA pilots mocking the passengers and stirring up hate in the cabin." Harvard professor and CNN analyst Juliette Kayyem added that every passenger on that flight has a standing to file a complaint with the FAA. Why the FAA? Oh, I know. I know why they have to go to the FAA, because Southwest, after almost losing all of their pilots, or half their pilots, to a vaccine mandate, will probably go and tell them to pound fucking sand if they go complain to Southwest. Although that doesn't seem to be the case. We'll talk about that in an article here. Former Democratic California congressional candidate Regina Marston went even further, stating the pilot should be fired right now. Regina Marston, who has way too much money to ever fly Southwest because it is known as a discount chain. So there's the boycotts and everything, the calls to go up with that, but unfortunately the pressure has come from ABC 13 Eyewitness News out of Houston. Pilot under investigation for saying "Let's Go Brandon" during an announcement, Southwest Airlines says. This is no author given. A Southwest Airlines pilot is under investigation after he allegedly used a phrase used as a way of swearing at President Biden. The incident happened on Friday. On a flight out of Houston, the pilot was finishing his announcement when he used the phrase "Let's Go Brandon." A Associated Press reporter on Friday said that there were audible gasps from passengers after the pilot ended the announcement. The phrase "Let's Go Brandon" has been growing in far-right evil circles. And now the seemingly upbeat sentiment, actually a stand-in for swearing at President Biden, is everywhere. It all started on October 2nd at a NASCAR race. We know the history of this. We'll be talking about that later. In a statement, Southwest said it's conducting an internal investigation into the reported event, while continuing to remind all employees that public expression of personal opinions while on duty is unacceptable. Here's their statement. "We know many of you have heard about the recent statements that have been made on a Southwest flight, and we wanted you to hear directly from us." Reading on, the Southwest team takes pride in a welcoming, comfortable, safe, and respectful environment for the millions of customers who fly with us each year. Southwest does not condone employees sharing their personal political opinions while on the job serving our customers, and one employee's individual perspective should not be interpreted as the viewpoint of Southwest and its collective 54,000 employees. Southwest is conducting an internal investigation into the recently reported event and will address the situation directly with any employee involved, while continuing to remind all employees that the public expression of personal opinions while on duty is unacceptable. Southwest does not tolerate any behavior that encourages divisiveness, as it does not reflect Southwest hospitality and inclusiveness for which we are known and strive to provide for each and every day. The Associated Press contributed to this report. So, I do want to ask the question here. With all the fuck Trump signs, the fuck Donald Trumps that went on for the last 4 years, is this in the same boat or is this something completely different? Because it's the one that all these journos like. Is it going to be the same thing? Would there have been as much pushback if a Delta pilot had gone onto the air, clicked off the microphone and said, "All right, the sky is clear. We are facing a slight headwind, so you'll see a little bit of turbulence as we get up over the mountains. And by the way, Orange Man, bad." Would it be something like that? Would that have caused some outrage? Or what it was only outraged among people who are wearing red hats? Would these same journalists be out there saying, "Oh, look at all the conspiracy, these fucking nuts. They worship the Orange Man." It is Brown, Chilaga. Brandon Brown is the original Brandon. I don't know, but this guy's under investigation, and for the most part, I can actually agree with what it was that Southwest is doing here because, I mean, most companies, especially if you're customer facing, do have a sort of clause into their contract telling you about the fact that you're not supposed to be expressing your political opinions with your customers. Now, where I work, most of my customers are small business owners, so they're getting hammered by the rest of this as well. So most of them would fall onto the same, well, probably a little bit more conservative line than me, but maybe not friends, but allies in that situation politically. Excuse me. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, you're not supposed to be giving your individual political views over this. So I can understand where they're coming from off of this. It does seem a little bit egregious on top of that as well, that they're coming back off of this, knowing full well that going the other way, it wouldn't have done the same thing. But this was probably a long-standing company policy. But that's where we go from that. American Airlines, by the way, speaking of people pushing back against Brandon, let's do one briefly off this one as well, because we've got to read from NPR, National Progressive Radio. American Airlines has canceled more than 1,700 flights since Friday. And this is from Deepa Shivaram. And remember, NPR needs our money, comrade, so make sure you donate. It's not your money, comrade, it's our money. Let's see what they have to say over here at National Progressive Radio. American Airlines canceled more than 1,700 flights over Halloween weekend, including more than 800 on Sunday alone, due to weather and staff shortages. Okay. I don't know what it was like in the rest of the country, but it was pretty goddamn clear here. The company said the cancellations are just the latest in a months-long struggle airlines have been facing as travel has picked up again in the pandemic. While the demand has been steadily rebounding, carriers remain hamstrung by staff cuts put in place more than a year and a half ago when the pinko fucking pox began to decimate the industry. American says that 343 were canceled on Friday, followed by another 548 on Saturday. Most of the canceled flights coming to and from the airline's main hub in Dallas-Fort Worth, as well as Charlotte, North Carolina. In a letter to staff sent out Saturday, the company's chief operating officer, David Seymour, said the company proactively canceled flights on Sunday because of severe winds in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and a shortage of crews. I've got a feeling it was more on the shortage of crews than it was on severe winds, because there are more people that are being told that you have to have this shot in your arm or you are not allowed to make a living. And a lot of these people are looking back at Delta and saying, okay, well, or American rather, and saying, okay, well, you can go and fuck yourself. Which is good. I like that. Hit them where it fucking hurts. No, seriously, hit them where it fucking hurts. If they can't staff the planes, they can't take your money. And it's a lot of money that they're taking over on American Airlines. I've looked at American Airlines flights. They're taking a lot of your money. So, good on them. In the midst of the Let's Go Brandon scandal, I told you we were going to be listening to more from Asha Rangappa. People are really proving to me that Let's Go Brandon is totally just normal people criticizing the president. Nothing unstable or violent here. To which we get this screenshot from her email, in which the email address is mysteriously blanked out. The email comes from a Mr. X to Asha Rangappa. Love to know how he got her email. Appears the subject and the content are the same. Let's go Brandon, and fuck you Asha, you old hen cunt. Last guy that got an erection from you was 20 years ago. And my only advice here to Asha on this is, if you didn't like this message, then don't send it to yourself. Mr. X, fuck you. Yeah, okay. You know, the rest of us can go out here and make a completely new Gmail account on the fucking fly and send ourselves email addresses to our specific, special, official email accounts too. I don't buy this for a fucking second. I look at this as somebody who was in the lead of a story, who was getting pointed out to numerous times that, oh, this really isn't that big of a deal. And now trying to find a way to make this into something violent. And that's one of the things. I mean, we look back at some of this other stuff here. We look at the Capitol Selfie Fest, the Justice for the Capitol Selfie Fest event. What were some of the other ones here? The FBI, the feds in the school board meetings. The fact that the Democrat Party had to make up a tiki torch event, and we'll be talking about that later as well, to go and try to defame Youngkin. And this whole thing just, I mean, it throws all of this into question and chaos here. How much of this is actually staged and how much of this is real? Because I would go back to even Charlottesville and say, okay, was this just some federal agents, some FBI guys out in the crowd that were trying to make this into something that it wasn't? And I've got my eyes on the Proud Boys too, because I'm also starting to think that they might not be all that they seem either. Because they always seem to be at these events where stuff happens. But no, this is nothing. This didn't happen. Well, it happened, but this is a hoax. Alright, let's grab one from the Dissociated Press, as promised. How Let's Go Brandon became code for insulting Joe Biden, from Colleen Long. When Republican Rep. Bill Posey of Florida ended an October 21st House floor speech with a fist pump and the phrase, "Let's go Brandon," it may have seemed cryptic and weird to many who were listening, but the phrase is already growing in right-wing circles, and now its seemingly upbeat sentiment, actually a stand-in for swearing at Biden, is everywhere. South Carolina Rep. Jeff Duncan wore a Let's Go Brandon face mask at the Capitol last week. Ted Cruz posed with a Let's Go Brandon sign at the World Series. Mitch McConnell's press secretary retweeted a photo of the phrase on a construction sign in Virginia. The line has become conservative code for something far more vulgar. Fuck Joe Biden. It's all the rage among Republicans wanting to prove their conservative credentials. A not-so-secret handshake that signals they're in sync with the party's... Oh my god. Oh my god, it's a secret handshake. That they're in sync with the party's base. Oh my god, it's a secret society, you guys! Huh, apparently Twitch didn't like that one. That's okay, I liked it. And I caught that one out of the corner of my eye. Americans are accustomed to their leaders being publicly jeered, and former President Trump's often coarse language seemed to expand the boundaries of what counts as normal political speech. But how did Republicans settle on the Brandon phrase as a G-rated substitute for the more vocal three-word cousin? It started at an October 2nd NASCAR race at Talladega. Was it really only that short of a time ago? Man, I thought it was longer ago than that. It started an October 2nd NASCAR race at the Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama. Brandon Brown, a 28-year-old driver, had just won his first Xfinity Series and was being interviewed by an NBC Sports reporter. The crowd behind him was chanting something at first difficult to make out. No, it wasn't. We all knew exactly what they were saying. The reporter suggested they were chanting "Let's go Brandon" to cheer the driver, but it became increasingly clear they were saying "Fuck Joe Biden." NASCAR and NBC have since taken steps to limit the ambient crowd noise during interviews, but it was too late. The phrase had already taken off. When the president visited a construction site in suburban Chicago a few weeks ago to promote his vaccinate or test mandate, protesters deployed both three-word phrases. This past week, Biden's motorcade was driving past a "Let's Go Brandon" banner as the president passed through Plainfield, New Jersey. And a group chanted "Let's go Brandon" outside of Virginia Park on Monday when Biden made an appearance on behalf of the Democratic candidate for governor, Terry McAuliffe. Two protesters dropped the euphemism, entirely holding up hands-drawn signs with the profanity. Yes, 80 million votes, most popular president in history, more votes than even Barack Obama. And we all knew how this went, but the Associated Press told us that we had to do so anyway. Alright, let's keep going here. We've got one from the Texas Tribune. Moving gears, shifting gears off of this. 911 transcripts filed an updated Trump train lawsuit reveals San Marcos police refused to send escort to Biden bus. From Kate McGee. As supporters of then-President Trump surrounded and harassed a Joe Biden campaign bus on Central Texas Highway last year, San Marcos police officials and 911 dispatchers fielded multiple requests for assistance from Democratic campaigners and bus passengers who said that they feared for their safety from a pack of motorists known as a Trump train, allegedly driving in dangerous and aggressive ways. Yes, like moving out of the way when a white crossover goes and dives at them. San Marcos refused to help and amended federal lawsuit over the 2020 freeway skirmish claims. Transcribed 911 audio recordings and documents that reveal behind-the-scenes communications among law enforcement and dispatchers were included in the amended lawsuit filed late on Friday. The transcribed recordings were filed in an attempt to show that San Marcos law enforcement leaders chose not to provide the bus with a police escort multiple times, even though police departments in other nearby cities did. In one transcribed recording, Matthew Dainzer, a San Marcos police corporal on duty that day, refused to provide an escort when recommended by another jurisdiction. "No, we're not going to do it," Dainzer told a 911 dispatcher. "According to the amended filing, we will close patrol, but we're not going to escort a bus." The amended filing also states that those in the audio recordings, law enforcement officers privately laughed and joked about the victims and their distress. Former State Senator Wendy Davis, who was running for Congress at the time, is among the four plaintiffs in the lawsuit. The new complaint also expands the number of people and entities being sued to include Dainzer, San Marcos Assistant Police Chief Brandon Winkenwerder, and the city itself. The spokesperson for the city did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Late Friday, Dainzer said Winkenwerder could not be immediately reached. Okay, so with this being said, if any of these people, which Wendy Davis would be a state senator of that, so I'm guessing she would have paid taxes. I don't know if she's paid taxes in that district because I don't know where she lives. But if any of these people paid taxes to San Marcos, and San Marcos did refuse to come out and help them, that is a breach of contract because of the taxation. They're being paid by the taxpayer to come out and respond to something like that. And there would be standing for something like that. With that being said, and I'm only putting this out here to put the legal definition out there. With that being said, if you were a police officer and you listen to Democrats in the midst of a 6-month campaign saying, fuck 12, and all cops are bastards, constantly haranguing, saying all cops should be fired, or saying many other horrible things, many of the same things that Ron Helton says about police officers, would you be ready to jump up at a moment's notice and lift a finger to help these people? I mean, they're only human. The police officers here, they're only human. I know I wouldn't be eager to get up there and help people who said that I and everybody else who did my career was a bastard. I wouldn't be eager to do that. If I was in the middle of a bank, looking at somebody who said, all radio hosts are assholes, and then somebody busted in with guns and that same person got taken hostage and said, help me, J. Edgar, you're my only hope, I'd say, nope, all radio hosts are bastards, remember? And take your chances. The confrontation between the Biden bus and Trump supporters made national news after it was captured on video last week, on the last weekend of October 2020. Yeah, we know. We know. Yeah, no. If I was in that situation, and Democrats who, once again, had just been yelling, all cops are bastards, defund the police, disband the police, help me, please help me, I would tell you to fuck yourself too. It's the same thing when people were out protesting, and again, screaming that all cops are bastards and fuck the police and defund the police and everything else. And they went on to go burn down a business, and the business owner came out with a machete or a chainsaw or a shovel or something to go back and defend the business. What's the first thing the protesters yell out? Oh, help me! Somebody call 911! Help, call the police! There's somebody coming after me! So, that's what we see off of that. Oh, they even brought the Klan Act. The lawsuit alleges that by refusing to help law enforcement officials, violated the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871 because they were aware of acts of violent political intimidation, but did not take appropriate steps to prevent the Trump supporters from intimidating eligible voters. Are you fucking kidding me? Once again, we watched this whole thing, and we watched every angle of the traffic accident that was available. Or the near traffic accident. We watched every angle of that, and the white crossover was the aggressor in that situation. We have seen 17 angles of that same incident on this channel. And I bet you there are 20 more floating out in the ether that we have not seen yet. And every angle I've seen, I can only conclude one thing. That white crossover was the aggressor against the black pickup truck. The white crossover left their lane, the black pickup truck stayed in his lane until he was forced off the road, off to the side. Violent confrontation and intimidating eligible vote. Fuck you. If anything, the people perpetrating this lawsuit should be the ones who are getting sued for the Klan Act, because that white crossover did try to push that Trump truck off the fucking road. The provision of the Klan Act that the plaintiffs are citing in the lawsuit lay dormant for years, but saw a resurgence under the Trump administration, according to Project Democracy lawyer John Paredes, who is representing some of the plaintiffs. It also recently cited in a federal lawsuit against Trump after the January 6th selfie fest. So, that's what we see off of that. This thread, I don't know if we're going to go through this entire thing, because this is a long thread. I think this is over 25 tweets. But I wanted to talk about this for just a second, because this is important. So let's get into a little bit of this. I don't usually do this right for the chat, but I'm going to do it for this one here. Is I am going to put this into the chat so you guys can go check it out for yourselves. But definitely go and read this entire thread. I don't know, once again, how far I'm going to go into this, but this is from Brad Geyer, who is a lawyer for Nate DeGrave, who is being held as what he claims as a political prisoner. Brad Geyer writes, "Dear fellow Americans, I never thought I'd write a letter like this, but we're living in very different times, and this is my cry for help. My name is Nathan DeGrave. As a nonviolent participant in the January 6th rally, I spent the last 9 months detained as a political prisoner in Pod C2B at the DC DOC, otherwise known as DC's Gitmo. The conditions here for January 6ers have been inhumane. In fact, some of the inmates are even begging to be transferred to Guantanamo Bay, where even they have more acceptable standards. Class action lawsuits are being filed against the prison. Even the ACLU has gotten involved. Senators Gates and Green have since... Green isn't a senator, by the way, and neither is Gates, now that I think about it. Have since attempted to gain access to this facility and inspect the conditions of the jail, only to be denied. The vile filth of what has become our daily life is being illegally hidden from the members of our own Congress. So let me tell you about what me and many of the other January 6ers have been experiencing in DC's Gitmo. It is my hope that the media, with media exposure and the awareness of the American public, that something may be done and this never happens to anyone again. Our conditions for the first 120 days in DC's Gitmo. January 6ers experienced daily lockdowns for 23 to 24 hours before being allowed to leave our small 120 square foot cell. Our physical and mental anguish that results from this kind of severe isolation has caused many people to go into a rapid mental decline. As a result, a large percentage are heavily medicated with anti-anxiety and antidepressant drugs, which helps to cope with the psychological and mental abuse we endure. Many times, the little rec we do receive is stripped away if our cell isn't up to standards of the guard on duty. This changes from day to day. January 6ers have lost rec time and out-of-cell activity. Anytime the news interviews about the jail are aired on TV, people speak up about our conditions, or rallies are held in our name, we'll probably have a lockdown upon the publishing of this letter. So I've already warned those I know in advance. Masks are weaponized and used against us, even though we never leave the facility. Officers have walked in with the sole intention of needing to write 20 to 30 disciplinary reports against January 6ers, which adversely affect our chances of release and cause loss of privileges, phone time, and commissary. Masks need to be covering both the nose and mouth at all times, or we're threatened and locked down in our cells. January 6ers are always respectful employees around us, but COs maintain the need to invent reasons to discipline. Privileged legal documents have been confiscated and gone missing from various cells, and highly sensitive discovery, video evidence under attorney-client privilege, is watched by employees during our legal calls. Jordan Mink, for example, had all discovery taken by ERT officers on August 23rd, despite the objection of his attorney. They handcuffed him, searched his room, then proceeded to take all video evidence in his possession. Additionally, legal visits take 2 to 3 weeks or more to be scheduled, leaving some little time to discuss our defense and prepare for trial. The extreme medical neglect in this facility has caused a variety of adverse illnesses and disease, but some show signs of scurvy, and even some have COVID-like symptoms, but medical personnel have refused to treat it. Christopher Worrell, for example, is an inmate with cancer who also broke his hand in prison and required surgery. Both have been completely ignored. Federal Judge Royce Lamberth got to the point where on October 12th he filed contempt of court charges against the warden of the DC DOC, claiming that Worrell's civil rights have been violated and demanding the U.S. Attorney General inquire further about his and other possible violations. Another inmate, Peter Stager, waited for 4 months to receive a CPAP breathing machine and has needed an MRI since spring, which also has been ignored by staff. The harsh, unlivable conditions of our unit has caused health hazards that defy Department of Health regulations, and on at least 5 occasions raw sewage has overflowed in our unit, causing human fecal matter to flood the floors and rooms. That also in addition to the mold on the cell walls, as well as the rusty pipes and dirty water that flows from these sinks. White rags turn brown when exposed to the water from our faucets. We are undergoing severe nutritional deficiencies and starvation. For breakfast this morning, I received a tray of flavorless paste, 2 slices of bread, and a slice of bologna. Lunches usually consist of rice and beans, but we'll get cold chicken, beef patties if we're lucky. For dinner, we are sometimes fed a diet of cheese sandwiches and bologna and cheese 4 to 5 times per week. Without commissary, people like myself are forced to starve. I suffer from headaches and nausea on almost regular bases. From the malnutrition and constant hunger I'm subjected to, I've lost almost 15 pounds since I've been detained. Our rights to personal hygiene have also been totally neglected. Razors are prohibited. And inmates are forced to either go unshaved or grow long beards or have a razor-free cream that burns and irritates the skin, but many others jails have allowed the use of razors without incident. Haircuts are also prohibited from unvaccinated inmates, which, given the fact that this was January 6th, that's almost all inmates. For me, it's been nearly 9 months. I look virtually unrecognizable in the condition I'm in. I fear even my family would not recognize me. Contact with the outside world, from legal visits to seeing loved ones, is highly restricted after in-person visits, legal or otherwise. We are forced to undergo humiliating strip searches despite all visitors being thoroughly checked for contraband. If it's a legal visit, we are placed in a 14-day quarantine with no out-of-cell time, even if your attorney is vaccinated and tests negative for COVID. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on from that. But the worst part of this is, like Rob Schneider comes off and say authoritarians are more angry at a Southwest pilot for saying let's go Brandon than they are at the president for pressuring the states to fire. But, this is all under more tweets here. But if you look at some of the comments on some of these too, you see a lot of people in here. If you couldn't do the time, you shouldn't have done the crime. And you deserve this. There are a lot of people in this. Actually go in and read the comments. If you do read the thread, read the comments. It's horrifying. It's horrifying to look at and see what these people believe is acceptable as long as it's going toward a political enemy of theirs. It is a double standard for justice. Everybody that votes the way that they like should be able to go free and not ever have to worry about interaction with the police. And everybody they don't like, who votes in a way that they don't like, has to go through this. This is crap. Literally, there's crap blowing in the floors off of this. If this is true. Now, once again, I'm of the mind of innocent until proven guilty, but the fact that they're not allowing any sort of inspection or anything else to come back in with this tells me that they're probably trying to cover something up as well. They are the state, they're beholden to the people, and we have the right to go in and inspect what the state does. They don't have the right to come back in and inspect what we do, because they're not beholden to us. I'm sorry, they are beholden to us. We are not beholden to them. We are not beholden to the state. So yes, a Freedom of Information request, and of course, you can't FOIA DC Police, by the way, or Capitol Police. But we should be able to FOIA the Department of Corrections and actually be able to come in and see this. But I have a feeling that would get denied by a judge too. But this is horrifying. Alright, let's grab another one here. So I mentioned that we would be talking about the Tiki Torch guys. So first we'll go with the fact that people got identified off of this. Jewish Deplorable tweets out, Brighton, financial director for Young Virginia Democrats, has gone private after being exposed for posing as a white supremacist. So there's him. And bravo Google and bravo news sites for going and cleaning this all up. Because they did come out on Friday and come out and say, it's the white supremacists, it's the Tiki Torch people, it's the rise of Charlottesville all over again. Which, at this point, I do have to wonder if the front of the Charlottesville protest was not full of people like the director for Young Virginia Dems. If they weren't actually out there going and trying to push this along to get a few people in so that we could go and investigate them and say that they're all terrorists. But yeah, there he is, out there with the Tiki Torch. And there he is. Camden, vote for Dems now on November 2nd. Leighton, GMU 20, BS 2022, MPP, public education enthusiast, Virginia Democrats at GMU consultant, XLP Consulting, financial director, at VAYD, at GMU Dems, he, him. These tweets are protected. Oh, we can't go see his profile anymore. But he accepts tips, by the way. You can go and give him a tip. And that's his Instagram, which is still open at this point. Camden Leighton. We can definitely tell that's him. The next one, Alex Sears tweets out, I am now confident that we have identified the woman in this group of political actors as Colleen Walkenfield with VA Democrats. She's kind of cute, I'm not going to lie. But there she is. Tiki torch, camo hat, sunglasses. There she is off that with the thumbs up. And the McAuliffe van. You can see the McAuliffe trim around there. Face structure matches. There she is. Out above urban residential area. Body build matches. I'd say it's at least a possibility that's her. And by the way, I looked her up on Twitter after this photo came out, and wouldn't you know it? Her profile is private too. Actually, I think hers is deleted. Yep, privated. Colleen Walkenfield. These tweets are protected. And now, this account doesn't exist. So I'm going to say that given the fact that first she locked down and then now the account is deleted, that was probably her. Alright. So now the narrative has turned on this as well. Lincoln Project says it's behind the group with tiki torches by Youngkin campaign bus during Charlottesville event. From Madison McNamee. A rare visit to Charlottesville by Republican gubernatorial candidate Glenn Youngkin is being overshadowed by an incident that occurred outside at a campaign stop. Now the Lincoln Project says it's behind the incident. Okay, Lincoln Project, dude. I've told you guys this before. You guys at the Lincoln Project, you don't have to pay this much attention to Glenn Youngkin. His last name is Youngkin, not Young Kid. I understand that you get excited when you hear the words young kid. But you don't have to go so hard at this guy. He's not what you think he is. Youngkin made a stop at Guadalajara's East Main Street location early Friday, October 29th. While he was inside, several people stood with tiki torches next to his campaign bus outside the restaurant. Tiki torches were used by many white supremacists. Would you say a number of white supremacists? Who marched at the University of Virginia on August 11, 2017, the day before the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. Jason Kessler, who's listed as an organizer of the rally in a federal lawsuit, carried a tiki torch while participating in that march. Richard Spencer, who was also named in the same federal lawsuit, has taken part in a separate tiki torch-lit rally for the statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee in Charlottesville earlier that year. I've had some good burgers in my time. I like a nice, like, Swiss, melted Swiss, and caramelized onions and roasted mushrooms on a burger. That is some hot stuff. You can get that at a number of places, sweetheart. That Richard Spencer. The Lincoln Project put out a statement late in the afternoon saying, in part, today's demonstration was our way of reminding Virginians what happened in Charlottesville 4 years ago, the Republican Party's embrace of those values, and Glenn Youngkin's failure to condemn it. Now, basically you got fucking caught. Earlier in the day, before the Lincoln Project released a statement, NBC 29 had asked Youngkin about the incident. He said, I think they work for Terry McAuliffe, and I'm sure he sent them. The candidate continued, they'll do anything to win, and he's doing anything to win, so he's paying people to show up and act silly at rallies. McAuliffe's team denied the accusation, telling NBC 29 in a statement, this was not us or anyone affiliated with our campaign. Are you sure? I mean, it's hard to see where the picture is cropped, but I can see an A, what looks like possibly a U, a line that indicates that might be an L with a space going onto the I. I mean, this could be A-O-I and then space I-E-E-E. But then we also see an F over here and an MC over there. I'm pretty sure that this person works for you, Terry McAuliffe. And I'm pretty sure that's her. And also considering the fact that this person organized, I can say that he possibly doesn't work for you, but he organizes for VA Democrats at university. So, Terry, you might want to rethink that one. A statement on Glenn Youngkin's bus stop earlier today. The Democrat Party of Virginia, along with its coordinated partners and its affiliates, did not have any role today in the events that happened outside of the Youngkin campaign stop. Today, what happened in Charlottesville 4 years ago was a tragedy and one of the darkest moments in our state's recent memories, and is an event not to be taken lightly. For anyone to accuse our staff of having a role in this event is shameful and wrong. Alright, and then Fox 8 comes out with this as well. The Lincoln Project roasted as deranged hacks for orchestrating viral hoax to smear Youngkin. Oh, by the way, if you're trying to wonder about the authenticity of what's happening here, that is a black white supremacist right there. Just so you know. Oh, this brings us over to Fox News, which means that we're going to get autoplay. The Lincoln Project roasted as deranged hacks for orchestrating viral hoax to smear Youngkin from Joseph A. Wolf's Zone. The disgraced anti-Trump group, the Lincoln Project, is facing intense backlash for orchestrating the viral hoax involving tiki torch-holding individuals associating themselves with the Youngkin campaign. Twitter was set ablaze after images of a group wearing white shirts, khakis, and baseball caps and sunglasses stood alongside the campaign bus of Virginia gubernatorial candidate Glenn Youngkin, reportedly expressing support for Republican, according to the local NBC affiliate anchor Elizabeth Holmes. The imagery of the tiki torches was apparently meant to invoke the white nationalists who participated in the deadly events of Charlottesville in 2017. The stunt was seized upon by the left, including staffers from candidate Terry McAuliffe's campaign. The Unite the Right rally was one of the darkest days in the Commonwealth's history. This is who Glenn Youngkin supporters are. McAuliffe's spokesperson, Christina Freundlich, tweeted. Now, after widespread suspicion from Twitter critics that was orchestrated by Youngkin opponents, the anti-Trump group took ownership of what it called a demonstration. The Lincoln Project has run advertisements highlighting the hate unleashed in Charlottesville, as well as Youngkin's continued failure to denounce President Trump's very fine people on both sides. We will continue to draw this contrast in broadcast videos on our social media platforms and at Youngkin rallies. The group stated in a press release, today's demonstrations was our way of reminding Virginians what happened in Charlottesville 4 years ago, the Republican Party's embrace of those values, and Glenn Youngkin's failure to condemn it. So it sounds to me, honestly, like they are running damage control. That the Lincoln Project is doing this and saying, okay, here's the deal. Terry, You owe us. And you will have to pass some legislation for us, but everybody already hates us, and we are going to take the heat for this. We're going to take the blame. No, you keep paying. You keep putting those $100 bills in the mail, unmarked, every month. And if you don't, we'll go out and expose the fact that you did this. Because... No, not that one. The woman featured in the photos, who locked and then deleted her account, is in a van that is marked up by Terry McAuliffe signage. I guarantee you that's what Lincoln Project is doing right now. They're doing damage control for this. I promise you that's what's happening. But they're getting roasted online for it. Alright, speaking of Virginia. Police increased presence at shopping malls, crowded areas in Northern Virginia amid ISIS terror threat. Report from Ryan Saavedra. Law enforcement officials in Northern Virginia have increased their presence at shopping malls and other crowded venues this weekend in response to a possible ISIS terror threat. CBS News reports police said the increased law enforcement presence will be in place through the Halloween weekend and ahead of Virginia's gubernatorial election. Law enforcement officials said they're acting out of abundance of caution, and as they learn more about this threat, the increased law enforcement presence could be extended through Tuesday's election. Oh, really? Honk honk. So you're going to have the police at every polling station. Honk honk. Interesting. We have increased our police presence throughout the county to include major thoroughfares, transit hubs, shopping plazas, and shopping malls, Fairfax County Police Chief Kevin Davis said on Friday. It is just our responsibility to have a greater presence, to be more aware, and ask the community to have their eyes and ears peeled for suspicious activities. John Cohen, who is the top counterterrorism official at the Department of Homeland Security and the head of the department's Office of Intelligence and Analysis, warned that U.S. officials have seen a surge in ISIS activity ever since the Democratic President Joe Biden's disastrous pullout from Afghanistan in August. What ISIS activity? Cohen said, right now we're seeing a dramatic increase or an increase in online activity by media operations associated with different Al-Qaeda elements and the Islamic State. Colin Kahl, Undersecretary of the Defense for Policy, told the Senate Armed Services Committee this week that ISIS-K and Al-Qaeda have increased their capabilities ever since the withdrawal and that they may soon have the ability to attack the U.S. Patriot Act coming in again. And oh, hey, now we're just going to happen to have a police officer stationed, probably armed in SWAT and riot gear, at every polling station ahead of the election because there might be, otherwise the terrorists win. How convenient. All right, let's grab one from CNBC. FDA authorizes Pfizer's COVID vaccine for kids ages 5 to 11. Shots could begin early next week with CDC clearance. From Berkeley Loveless Jr. The FDA on Friday authorized the use of Pfizer and BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 5 to 11, a move that will make the shots available to 28 million kids in the U.S. The CDC must sign off before shots can be distributed. It's scheduled an advisory committee meeting to review the pediatric doses next week and is expected to swiftly clear them for public distribution for immediately thereafter. As a mother and a physician, I know that parents, caregivers, school staff, and children have been waiting for today's authorization. Vaccinating younger children against the pinko fucking pox will bring us closer to returning to a sense of normalcy. Acting FDA Commissioner Janet Woodcock said in a statement. The FDA clearance, which was expected, came after the agency's Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee voted overwhelmingly Tuesday to back a smaller dose of the Pfizer vaccine for young children. The company said its low-dose vaccine for kids, which is the third of a dosage given to adults, is more than 90% effective in preventing symptomatic infection. It also said the shots were well tolerated in young children, producing side effects comparable to those seen in the study of people ages 16 to 25. Really? So we're going to have a bunch of little kids, ages 5 to 11, have fucking heart attacks. Are you fucking kidding me? For a disease that they're by and large not dying from unless they are morbidly fucking beasts. Many parents say they're anxious to get their kids vaccinated, with schools now open across the US and the Delta variant driving a surge in children's cases. Oh, that still exists? As of October 21st, nearly 6.3 million children have tested positive for COVID since the onset of the pandemic, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics. Though health experts say the number is likely much higher, COVID-19 is the 8th highest killer of kids ages 5 to 11 over the past year. No, it isn't. A CDC official told the FDA committee on Tuesday. As of October 17th, 691 deaths from COVID have been reported in the U.S. in kids under 18, with 146 in the 5 to 11 years age group. The FDA said on Friday, the number of kids' deaths from COVID is at a similar level that has prompted immunization against meningitis and other diseases of children. Dr. Ofer Levy, a voting member of the FDA's vaccine advisory panel, told CNBC. And moreover, it's likely that the vaccine will help reduce the risk of transmission from children to older individuals. You know what the difference is between meningitis and the pinko-pox vaccine? Because yes, I do see that there is the risk of meningitis among children that they come back and die from. You know what the difference is, though? The meningitis vaccine is voluntary. You know how I know that? Oh, we gotta do the bite thing. You know how I know that? I don't have it. I didn't get the meningitis vaccine. That entire week, given the fact that I had my wisdom teeth out, was a whirlwind. I never got it scheduled. They sent me the propaganda when I started college, and I had at the time probably 25 pamphlets, flyers, and whatnot, trying to tell me that this is what I needed. I just never went and got it. It was voluntary. And people went out and got it, and it was a good idea. However, we've got another one here from our friends over at National Progressive Radio. Parents should be patient about getting COVID vaccines for kids. White House says. This is from Tamara Keith. And did you donate last time? Because we're here again, and NPR. They've got their hands out because they need our money, comrade. They need our money to spread their communist ideals around the country. NPR, National Progressive Radio. Within minutes of the FDA's decision Friday to authorize the lower dose of Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 5 to 11, teams began packing up the vaccines to be shipped. The vials are being packed with syringes, dry ice, and tracking labels, and are being loaded into shipping containers that were specifically designed for the pediatric vaccine. I wonder how much of a kickback that was to people. I wonder how much of a kickback that was to the manufacturing companies. But a top White House official is cautioning that parents should expect to get their kids vaccinated the very next day if the CDC recommends the vaccine, as is expected to do on Tuesday. Patience may be needed, as it could take several days before the shots are readily available. We're talking about a specialized vaccine for children, said Jeff Zients, the White House COVID-19 response coordinator, in an exclusive interview with NPR. We're hard at work planning the logistics and making sure that vaccines will be available at tens of thousands of sites that parents and kids know and trust. The process isn't as simple as just opening up appointments at pharmacies, as it was when adult boosters were authorized in recent weeks. Younger children will be getting a smaller dose, delivered via smaller needles for smaller arms. Oh, how touching. It's a different formulation in different packaging, a new program for that new population that requires greater sensitivity. Don't run out and go get your kids vaccinated because the logistics exist. This whole thing is just, it's ridiculous. Where are we getting to this point where everybody needs to run out and get this vaccine? And I would love, once again, I would love to crack open the books and see how much each one of these shots costs the U.S. government. I know, right now we'll probably get some Twitcher on here that comes in and says, "You fucking chud! The vaccine is free! Don't you know that? Don't you fucking know anything?" The vaccine is free to end user. That is true. That is absolutely true. But the research, the manufacture, the specialized vials, the fuel to get it there, the fuel to run the reefer, and the generalized profit that Pfizer and BioNTech is going to make off of this, that all costs money. That the US government is paying. On a no-bid contract, by the way. You know, that same thing that gives us $150,000 toilets in federal buildings. Yeah, they're paying that on a no-bid contract. And I would love to know how much they're getting, how much these big medicine companies are getting paid per dose of this thing. But we'll never know, because if we know, then we'll know how much is getting funneled back to the US government in donations. Man, I would love to see that number. Alright. Let's grab one from the Hollywood Reporter. I can't believe how much I use this site, by the way. I thought that one time was going to be completely out of the ordinary and never be able to use it. Now I use it all the fucking time. Ice Cube exits Sony comedy Oh Hell No after declining COVID-19 vaccine. The Sony film, which co-stars Jack Black, had been set to shoot this winter in Hawaii. From Boris Kitt and Kim Masters. Ice Cube has departed Sony's upcoming comedy Oh Hell No, in which he would have co-starred with Jack Black after declining a request from producers to get vaccinated, the sources tell The Hollywood Reporter. Sony had no comment. A personal representative for the star declined to comment. WME, his agency, declined to comment. Oh Hell No is being produced by Matt Tolmach and Black, both of whom did not offer a comment. There's no comment. Ice Cube and Black partnered with the project in June. The Sony film was looking to shoot this winter in Hawaii, with Kitao Sakurai, the filmmaker behind Netflix's breakout comedy The Bad Trip, in the director's seat. Producer on Oh Hell No made the request that the cast on the project would need to be vaccinated, which I'm not completely surprised either. The film was pushing back its production start. Black injured himself in June while filming a gag for the last episode of Conan, but still attached to the project. Sources tell THR the studio is looking to find a replacement for Ice Cube, who walked away from a $9 million payday. Throughout the pandemic, Ice Cube has promoted mask wearing. In August, Bacone College in Oklahoma thanked the star and others for a donation of 2,000 face masks to use as personal protective equipment. In April 2020, amid the COVID lockdowns, he unveiled Check Yourself Before You Wreck Yourself branded t-shirts featuring the star in a mask, in partnership with the manufacturer Blackout, with proceeds to benefit frontline health care workers. Which is cool. I like the fact that he's out here doing the private charity off of this here, but I do like also the fact that he's pushing back against this. He's advocating for people to go out and make their own decisions off of this, which they absolutely should. You should make your own decision as to what is going to keep you and your family the safest. That's always been my position on this program. But I find it funny that people expected him to just take the knee under a mandate here. When wasn't Ice Cube a member of NWA? Was not Ice Cube a member of NWA and saying fuck the police? Was he? Was Ice Cube in WA? Yes, O'Shea Jackson Sr., American rapper an actor whose membership in the seminal gangster rap group NWA gained him acclaim and launched his controversial but successful solo career. Yeah, he was in NWA. Which is funny. I mean, it's the same thing with Rage for the Machine at this point. You know, we hear for years and years, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me, but do what the government and the man tells you in order to come to our concerts. It must be nice to have a little bit of fuck you money and you can walk away from $9 million on a payday. But I'm glad that he did, nonetheless. And there again, I don't think that he's anti-vax. I think that he is anti-mandate, as many people need to be. Alright, what else do we got? Kemp and McMaster are suing Biden and Augusta over the vaccine mandate. By staff. Governor Brian Kemp and AG Chris Carr announced plans on Friday to file a complaint against President Biden and many federal agencies with the administration. The complaint will be filed in August in the U.S. District Court or the Southern District of Georgia. Kemp and Carr will be joined in the lawsuit by South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster, as well as leaders from Alabama, Idaho, Kansas, Utah, and West Virginia. The complaint, in part, explains how the Biden admin's unprecedented, unlawful, and unconstitutional COVID-19 vaccine mandate for federal contractors has placed Georgia state agencies and elected officials, including Kemp and the Georgia Department of Agriculture, and the university system in Georgia, is an untenable situation, Kemp's office said Friday in a news release. In addition to being an unlawful and unconstitutional overreach, this vaccine mandate on federal contractors will only divide Americans and hamstring our economy, said Kemp. Yes. Yes, indeed. And it's outside the purview of constitutionality. I know people like to say that, you know, there was a decision for smallpox that was held up as constitutional for the requirement for smallpox vaccine. Yeah, it was on the local level too. Just so you know, and it wasn't on the federal level. That was a local thing. So we will see where that goes. Another one here from the Hill, Kemp and other GOP governors to sue Biden admin over vaccine mandates. From Nathaniel Weichsel. Done calling it a vax. It's gene therapy, right? And it's not gene therapy. It's perfectly safe, and everybody should absolutely have it. Honk, honk. Everybody should run out and get this thing right away. Honk, honk. And do whatever it is that you need to do. Advocate for this. The vaccine will save our lives and our society. Susan, honk, honk. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp will file a lawsuit in federal court challenging the Biden admin's vaccine mandate for federal contractors, his office announced on Friday. Kemp and Chris Carr were joined on the complaint by leaders from Alabama, Idaho, Kansas, South Carolina, Utah, and West Virginia. It comes on the heels of a similar lawsuit by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Thursday. In addition to being an unlawful and unconstitutional overreach, this vaccine mandate on federal contractors will only further divide Americans and hamstring our economy, Kemp said in a statement. So, that's where we go. It's time for the states to start exercising their supremacy, which I love to see, by the way. The 10th Amendment went away sometime in the 80s and the 90s, and now it's coming back. Because we need a state, we need an intermediary to protect us from the federal government. Because they'll just send soldiers and FBI and shit after us. Or we can have it battled out in the court, and the courts can tell you, you've got no standing to do this. Good, I'm glad to see it. Alright, what else do we have here? Out of New York City, from CBS 2 and WLNY 1055, vaccine mandate deadline for New York City workers arrives. Officials preparing for possible first responder shortages. You made your bed. From Andrea Klein-Thomas. The vaccine mandate deadline for all New York City workers to get their shots is now in effect. The deadline was 5 p.m. Friday. That means starting Monday, employees who have not received at least one shot will be put on leave without pay. Still, union leaders are fighting back. As CBS 2's Andrea Klein-Thomas reports, the city-run COVID vaccination site in Times Square was busier than usual Friday as the mandate deadline loomed for city workers. As we're reaching this deadline, we're going to see a lot of what we saw with the Department of Education, with health and hospitals, that people do what's necessary and get vaccinated, he said. De Blasio tweets out, "We issued a COVID-19 vaccine mandate and our workforce stepped up. Here are some of the latest numbers. NYPD, 84%. Up 80% from 80% this morning. EMS, 84%, up from 77%. FDNY, 72%, up from 67%. DSNY, which I don't know what DSNY is, 76%, up from 67%. Oh, sanitation, that's what it is. Those who do not comply will be put on leave without pay, but there's a loophole. We have a very growing population of vaccinated members of the NYPD, and we also have a pretty significant population of people that have put in for accommodations," NYPD Commissioner Dermot Shea said. "Those who ask for health and religious accommodations will keep working and continue with testing until the request is reviewed, which in some cases could just buy more time." Well, I guess we'll see where that goes. But I'm pretty sure that a lot of people in New York are going to be fucked if 33% of the fire department doesn't show up for work today. I'm sure another significant portion of them will be fucked if 20% of the EMS doesn't show up for work today. And they already have trash backups, so, I mean, they're already fucked on that point. Get out of the cities. Get out of the cities, yo. Let's talk about Biden and the Pope. President Biden says the Pope told him to keep taking communion and called him a good Catholic. From Carlos Garcia. President Biden said that Pope Francis told him he was a good Catholic and said that he would continue to take communion despite the objections of many U.S. bishops. Biden made the claim after a private meeting with the pontiff at the Vatican on Friday. "Oh, we just talked about the fact that he was happy, that I was a good Catholic, and I should keep receiving communion," Biden said at the meeting. He added that the subject of abortion did not come up during the meeting. Well, I wonder if he'd have said the same thing if that subject would have come up. A statement from the White House indicated that Biden thanked the Pope for advocating for an equitable global recovery and for fighting global warming. Oh, there's more. Biden thanked His Holiness for his advocacy for the world's poor and those suffering from hunger, conflict, and persecution, the statement added. The Vatican did not confirm Biden's claim in their official statement about the meeting. Biden's claim will likely disappoint and anger many conservative Catholics in the U.S. who have called for the communion to be refused to the politicians who support abortion, which is contrary to the Catholic Church teaching. The issue is going to be taken up by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops following upon a vote for their June plenary meeting. To address it generally, after Biden met with the Pope, they released a statement saying they would not single out any specific politician if they vote to make the statement about the issue. Yeah, Biden is a good Catholic. Come on, man! I don't know what was said in any of this. I wasn't there. Is that Rashid Tlaib in a Clemson advertisement, by the way? Because you gotta turn your ad blocker off to use the Blaze. Which means that Glenn Beck is more fucking tight-fisted than Shapiro. Yeah, I don't know. And the nice part about that is that they cut off all the coverage, so we have no way of corroborating that. It's just, we have to do what they said because they said so. Which, whatever. From CNN. Meeting with Pope Francis leaves a strong impression on Biden. He's everything I learned about Catholicism. From Donald Judd. A visibly moved president on Sunday took the opportunity to reflect on his close relationship with Pope Francis, praising the Catholic leader as someone who's provided a great solace for my family when my son died. I'm talking about the one that I like. I wish it was Hunter, but it wasn't as much of a fuck up. This is a man with great empathy. He's a man who understands that part of the Christianity is to reach out and forgive, Biden told reporters. And so I just find my relationship with him one that I personally take great solace in. He really is a truly genuine, decent man. Okay. Joe, here's the deal. Forgiveness is divine. It is. And by the grace of God, we're saved from our sins, which is also divine. We have the forgiveness of Christ. But see, the thing with repentance and forgiveness, and yes, I understand, I fall short of this too, which is why I've never stood in front of the Pope and proclaimed that I'm a good, well, I'm not even Catholic, I guess, so I can't use that as an example. I've never stood in front of the bishop of the Lutheran Church and tried to proclaim that I'm the perfect Lutheran. That works a little bit better for me, because I do still sin. And yes, you may have been forgiven for your comments on abortion, but you're not supposed to stay with it after you're forgiven. You're supposed to realize that you've done something wrong, and then try really hard to stop doing it. The President and the Pope held 90 minutes of talks on Friday in a session that blended the official and personal sides of the most devout U.S. leader. Jeez. No. That is not the most devout leader in decades. No. That is another crooked criminal politician who advocates for killing babies and stealing money from people who earned it. No, that is not a devout politician. Fuck you. Fuck you. Afterward, Biden said Francis had told him he was pleased that he was a good Catholic and that he should continue receiving communion despite opposition from some conservative American bishops over support for abortion. The meeting stretched twice as long as the one Biden held with Pope John Paul II as a young senator. While the White House said afterward that topics like climate change and the pinko fucking pox arose, Biden told reporters he discussed a lot of personal things with the pontiff. Oh, Holy Father, I know I killed all them brown kids over in the Middle East. Can I still go to heaven? Come on, man. Can you put in a good word for me? Oh, come on, man. It's just politics, okay? I didn't actually see him. I just signed the bill to make it happen. Abortion? Oh, you like that now, right? Come on, man. But, of course, this is from OP India. Poopy Pants Biden trends on social media after rumors emerge of Joe Biden suffering a bathroom accident at the Vatican. I love this song, by the way. I do. I like the vocal version, too. I think this is actually the vocal version. I like Sab Irene's version the best. That one's really good. Poopy Pants Biden is trending on social media after the former Nevada Republican Party chairman Amy Tarkanian claimed that there are rumors floating in Rome that U.S. President Joe Biden had a bathroom accident during his meeting with Pope Francis at the Vatican. I know we joke often about this, but this is the actual rumor going around Rome now. Amy Tarkanian said associate editor at The Spectator. Damian Thompson said that he heard the same from an excellent source. Subsequently, Poopy Pants Biden began to trend on Twitter, and then they shut it down, by the way. Joe Biden has been under the scanner in recent months due to health concerns. Rumors of the bathroom accident has once again brought the same into the spotlight. People on social media heavily criticized and mocked the US president over the rumored accident. Really hope it wasn't on the white chair. Hashtag Poopy Pants Biden. Which I think is hilarious, by the way, first and foremost. If he did this, which nobody knows if he did this or not. Apparently what this started off as, and the OP India is not really covering that, but what this started off as was a rumor that started flying around, a joke that started flying around the official government Vatican offices when Biden, his motorcade was late due to an accident. Like there was an actual traffic accident in the Vatican that caused the motorcade to be late. I don't know the details of it, but there was actually a legitimate traffic accident that caused him to be late. But the joke started going around the offices saying that they're actually late because Biden had a bathroom accident in the car in the motorcade. And then it turned into, well, it morphed into Biden crapped himself sitting in front of the Holy Father, which is why the media wasn't allowed to be there. Which that was another big thing that came out of this, and part of what's fueled this is the fact that nobody in the media was allowed to be in the room when Biden was meeting with the Holy Father. They were having a closed-door meeting at the time. But that was also that was the thing is, if you look at any political cartoon, it's, gigantic diaper baby Trump, 400 pounds in a gigantic diaper, crying and bawling because he just shat himself. That was the advent of political cartoons under the Trump administration. It was a lot of pooping in his pants, just over and over again, pooping in his fucking pants. And now this rumor is going around there, and honestly, it's believable. I mean, he's old. But, there again, I didn't check his pants, so I have no idea. I like the t-shirt, though. Who shit my pants? Alright. Shifting gears here once again, we're almost done. APD, man shot and killed by SWAT officer after firing at police as his house is engulfed in flames. From Paul Livengood and Maeve Ashbrook. The Austin Police Department said a man who was shot and killed by a SWAT team officer after responding to a standoff in southwest Austin that escalated into a house fire. The APD said that approximately 9:16 a.m. Wednesday, Austin code enforcement and district representatives were on scene at the 106,000 block of Pinckney Lane to conduct a civil standby for lawn maintenance when they took fire from a resident inside a home. The APD said officers and personnel on scene were able to escape the gunfire and make it to safety. Police then activated the Special Weapons Assault Team. According to a post from the APD, the residence is near the Circle C Ranch neighborhood of Escarpment Boulevard. Which I don't know why they put team at the end of SWAT team, because Special Weapons Assault Team already has the team in it. Although, it's been told to me, and I don't know if this is true or not, that SWAT actually stands for Special Weapons and Tactics. Austin Police Chief Joe Chacon said in a press conference Wednesday evening that the barricaded subject, an adult man in his 50s, fired shots again at officers at the back of the home around 3:19 p.m. Police then made the entry to the home using a robot after the man fired at officers and found that the fire had been started. Chacon said. The Austin Fire Department confirmed it responded to a fully involved fire at the house in 10616 Pinckney Lane. As part of the incident, photos on social media showed extensive damage to the home. At 3:39 p.m., the man then opened the garage door to escape the flames with weapons in hand, according to Chacon. A SWAT officer, who Chacon had said he's been with the department for 8 years, fired a shot, striking the man, police and EMS started life-saving measures on the man prior to taking him to the hospital. He was taken to the hospital where he later died, Chacon said. The SWAT officer will be placed on administrative duty per department policy in officer-involved shootings. So, they came out to mow his lawn because he hadn't been mowing his lawn. They were going to assess it against his taxes, which, if I remember correctly, isn't this the same dude where they've done this before and he waved guns at them before? Is this not the same dude? If not, then Texas is a wild fucking place, because I swear that the other incident that happened with this was in Texas, where the guy came out and waved guns at the city workers when they tried to mow his lawn. But he was so pissed off about the fact that the city was mowing his lawn that he came out, started shooting, and then set his own house on fire. Yeah, I don't know. But he fought the government and the government won. That's even with the government bringing the fight to him. F's in the chat. F. Big F's. Let's see. From CNN. Exclusive, Derek Chauvin jurors speak out for the first time, recalling traumatic experience and that light bulb moment. From Ray Sanchez. Months after convicting the former Minneapolis police officer who murdered George Floyd, jurors described the trial as a life-altering experience that still haunts them. It was their first and only interview since finding Chauvin guilty in April of second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. 2 of those 3 can't exist together. 7 members told CNN's Le Monde that their verdict is the most important trial of the Black Lives Matter era was based solely on the evidence, not their views on race. The gruesome video of Chauvin pressing his knee on Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes as the black man cried out that he couldn't breathe is seared into the minds, they said. Some have sought counseling and therapy. And it has nothing to do with the fact that a BLM member got into the jury and sat in there and then bragged about it after he got the fuck back out. It's definitely in my spirit and will always be there, said Sherry Belton Hardiman of the video. Watching George Floyd call for his mom, his girlfriend, just broke my heart. Me being a mom, a black grandmother. We call up for our mom when we're hurting, when we're in pain, and when we're in need. And unfortunately, his mom could not come to his rescue. In fact, no one came to his rescue. It's heartbreaking. The jurors deliberated for more than 10 hours over 2 days before reaching a verdict. Chauvin, who plans to appeal his conviction, was sentenced to June to 22.5 years in prison. The panel heard about the 3 weeks of testimony. Persecutors urged them to believe your eyes and rely on the video of Floyd's final moments, including cell phone footage taken by a 17-year-old woman. The defense called 7 witnesses, but not Chauvin, who invoked his Fifth Amendment right to not testify. The first thing we did was, 1, we took off our face masks and then we exchanged names. Nicole Dieter said, "There it is, right there." Some of us felt a little bit eager because we've been holding this in for 3.5 weeks, Brandon Mitchell said. Then came the first of many votes they would take, starting with a manslaughter count. The votes were anonymous, scribbled on pieces of paper. When all agreed on guilty of manslaughter, some panel members began to play devil's advocate and suggested they could discuss the defense arguments. Those arguments were enumerated on a whiteboard. I absolutely wanted to make sure that everyone was on the same page, Belton Hardiman said. I wanted to make sure that we were doing due diligence, that we actually understood what our task was. There was no room for error at all. There were about 4 votes in the second count before agreement was reached on guilty. They watched the video and went through the reams of notes and testimony to answer questions such as how many times was Floyd's pulse checked? What did the officers say to one another? Jody Dowd posed another question. Wait a minute, does the intended act of harm have to be the death of George Floyd, or can it be him not providing life support? Yeah, that's what goes on to the manslaughter charge. All of a sudden, light bulbs just went off for these people that I think were undecided or on the not guilty side, Teeter said. Yeah, and again, it had nothing to do with the fact that a BLM member, known, got his way into the jury and was sitting in there with these guys. It had nothing to do with that. So, there we have that. Let's talk about Ibram X. Kendi. I had no video for this entire episode. That's weird. I always have video. Alex Griswold tweets out that feeling when you accidentally blow up your entire life's work in a tweet and then have to delete. Ibram X. Kendi tweets out, more than a third of white students lied about their race on college applications, and about half of these students lied about being Native American. More than 3/4 of these students who lied about their race were accepted. This page doesn't exist. Try searching for something else. Let's read from The Blaze. Ibram Kendi inadvertently blows up his entire life's work in a now deleted tweet, then claims criticism is violent. From Chris Enlow. BU professor Ibram X. Kendi, a prominent advocate of anti-racism, deleted a tweet on Friday after his critics pointed out that it may have inadvertently refuted his ideology. There is no meaning for Twitter's existence. On Friday, Kendi shared a news article of a recent survey that discovered that more than a third of white students lied or misrepresented their race on college applications. 4/5 of white students admitted to lying or misrepresenting their race and said they did so to improve their chances of being accepted. Halves of those students who admitted to lying explained that they did so to improve their chances of being awarded financial aid earmarked for minority students. More than a third of white students lied about their race on college applications, and about half of these applicants lied about being Native American. More than 3/4 of these students who lied about their race were accepted, Kendi wrote on Twitter. Kendi later deleted the tweet. Kendi's deletion incited an avalanche of mockery. In sharing the news article, Kendi's critics said he was undermining what he believes about white privilege and systemic racism in America. As the Post-Millennial wrote, if white privilege is so prevalent and persuasive, why do white kids feel the need to disguise their whiteness in order to gain admittance to college and aid to help them attend? Could it be that these white students feel as opposed to giving them an edge? Their whiteness was a hindrance to admittance? No, it couldn't be that. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely what goes off with this too, because I mean, especially like where I went to Parkside for a while, and then I realized that the traditional 4-year route was not for me, so I went on to trade school after that. But I mean, especially at that place, there was just a ton of people getting accepted in that were not white, and it seems like they were being catered to left and right. Hell, when I went to MSOE. Or not MSOE. I didn't go to MSOE. MATC, that's the one. When I went there was a girl in front of me in line. And I kind of peered over. She was being asked if there were any anything that she would need to have any sort of accommodation for to get her through school. And she said, yeah, mental deficiency. I mean, they're using all these different kinds of things to fill out the equal opportunity thing. Including the black students. They looked up and they said, okay, well, we're not equal opportunity enough. We have to come up with something else off of this. So, I mean, the whole thing is a scam at this point, but Kendi especially. Yeah, white privilege is so great that white kids have to pretend not to be white in order to get accepted. All right. From the New York Post. AT&T Critical Race Theory Training says white employees not the problem. Report. From Lee Brown. AT&T offers employees training that calls racism a uniquely white trait and tells white employees that they are the problem, according to a report based on leaked documents. The telecommunication giant's Listen, Understand, Act training is based on core principles of a critical race theory, including systemic racism, white privilege, and white fragility, according to City Journal's Christopher Rufo, a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute. Employees are encouraged to study resources, including one that asks white America, if you know who's responsible for racism, or if you want to know rather who's responsible for racism, look in the mirror. What to shop now? An old video game console that plays the same kind of music as what we're listening to right now. No, Google's definitely not listening to us. White people, you are the problem, the article reportedly tells employees of why the US is a racist society. Regardless of how much you say you detest racism, you are the sole reason it has flourished for centuries, author Elaine writes, insisting that American racism is a uniquely white trait and that black people cannot be racist, according to the report. Employees are also encouraged to participate in a 21-day racial equity habit challenge that relies on the concepts of whiteness, white privilege, and white supremacy, Rufo said. Employees should do one action per day for 21 days to further their understanding of power, privilege, and supremacy, oppression, and equity, the challenge says. AT&T's CEO, John Stankey, launched the program last year, telling staff they had an obligation to engage on the social issue of racial injustice, Rufo said. Rufo said he got the documents from a senior employee who told him that AT&T managers are now assessed annually on diversity issues. Yeah, you should probably not spend money at AT&T anymore. I mean, do what you want. If it's the best service, the only service you can get where you're at. But I'm telling you right off the bat, I don't spend money with AT&T anyway. It's funny. AT&T took over Singular, which Singular was my cell carrier from the beginning. I don't use them anymore. But AT&T took them over. They merged them together. Merge. And everyone told me how piss poor AT&T customer service was, how rude they were, how nasty they were to you. And I never had that experience. Almost the entire time I had them. They were always nice to me, they were always kind to me, they always worked well with me. AT&T was always nice to me. And then the one time that they weren't, I dropped them and I switched carriers. It took them one time of being nasty with me on the phone. I said, nope, you're not my carrier anymore. And I wouldn't spend money with them again. Plus, they fucked me. They fucked me hard on Uverse. They told me they were going to come out and put a bunch of lines in and make everything come out and work. They charged me for it. And it never worked where I lived in Kenosha. I finally got pissed off after the 7th time of them coming out to come out and tell me that it was going to work. Don't worry, it's going to work. And I went with a local cable company, which I also regret at this point, but, you know, it was what they had. It's like me working with Spectrum now, but that's the only thing that's in the area. In spite of the fact that we every once in a while get an internet hiccup and get kicked off the air. But it's the only thing that's here. Because I will not give money to AT&T, especially now. I will not give them my money. Alright. Just a couple more, then we'll be out of here for the day. Another one here from NPR for us here. A curator asked Kahind Wiley to reimagine a 1770 painting of a wealthy white boy. His response is an elegant portrait of a young black man with the same gaze, stance, and ornate frame. It now hangs across from the original. And we'll get this up here, blown up a little bit better so we can see it. But 2 portraits of young men face off and show the story about race in the history of art. This is from Susan Stamberg. And remember, NPR still needs your money because they need to tell you how racist you are. for liking this white painting and not liking the painting of the young black man. They need your money, our money, comrade, so much that I keep saying payment instead of painting. So make sure that you donate so they can spread their communist ideals around the world. NPR, National Progressive Radio. I mean, look at them. They're exactly the same, aren't they? Those are the exact same paintings. Right? Right? It's just race swapped. There's a face-off at the Huntington Museum of Art near LA. The contenders are Thomas Gainsborough's 18th century painting Blue Boy and Cain Wiley's very 21st century portrait of a young gentleman. The two men are sportily dressed and look directly at visitors. They even stand the same way, but there's a major difference. They remind me of trading cards. Today's cards show baseball and football heroes. In my day, we traded pictures of artworks. The most coveted card was the Blue Boy, a really cute fellow of a bit older than we were, with a spiffy blue satiny suit, blue bows on silky brown shoes, and a big hat with flowing feather on it. Adorable. Yeah, you're in touch with the rest of America. This year marks the 100th anniversary. Henry and Arabella Huntington, the institution's founders, bought the painting to celebrate the centennial. Nielsen got the idea to commission Wiley, the African-American artist who painted President Obama's official portrait. Okay, that explains a lot. To respond to the Gainsborough's wealthy white boy, Cahind Wiley, portrait of a young gentleman, hangs across the room from Bloom Boy. Same size, same pose, left hand on hip, same ornate frame, except the frame is painted black. Here, I'm trying, Wiley explains, to allow for even the presentation of the painting to take on the nature of its meaning. I have a place here, the frame signals. I look different, and I belong. Wiley's young black man is turned out in hip 21st century fashion. He wears blue and orange shorts, a psychedelic orange t-shirt, carries a baseball cap, and his short dreadlocks have dye blonde tips. A little bit hippie, a little bit hobo, a little bit surfer bum, Wiley says. I think he's dressed better than Blue Boy. Growing up, Wiley came to Huntington very often, and loved looking at portraits from earlier centuries, but he never saw people who looked like him on the walls. There was an exception. He was the same age as Gainsborough's boy, and that was the draw. Looking at Blue Boy was something of an escape from seeing all the stodgy adult pictures, he said. Which, I am honestly not as opposed to this as, some people in my Discord are. It's the background that kills it for me. And the bleeding out of the clothing in the portrait to go into background for that. That's what makes me not like this. I actually think if you would change the background into something more portrait-like, this would actually be kind of a classy picture. I honestly would probably like this if it wasn't for that gaudy, god-awful fucking background. But that's what they see off of that. And there are the two, side by side once again. Alright, two more, then we're out of here. A little bit of news on the economic front. Bidding war over a 2-year-old minivan. Used car market goes bananas over lack of supply. From Jeannie Whalen of the Washington Post. The 2019 Honda Civic that kicked off a used car auction earlier this month would have been nothing special before the pandemic. But as automotive dealer Brad Wimmer watched, the online bidding quickly became, to quote him, bananas. It's bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S. Why the fuck do I know that song? Oh yeah. This Gwen Stefani used to be hot before she got her boob job. As a new car, the Civic would have had sticker price around $21,000, but within seconds the wholesale auction, the 2-year-old model with 4,000 miles sold for $27,200. Soon after, a Nissan Rogue fetch would have cost new in 2018, a 3-year-old Camry with large dents and scratches on the hood sold for $14,200, nearly twice what it would have brought just a few years ago, and a 15 Sorento sold for $12,600, a staggering amount for a 6-year-old car with 83,000 miles. For Wimmer, the owner of the dealer, Auto Lenders, such sky-high prices have become the norm at the weekly auction where dealerships nationwide buy and sell used cars. The unraveling of the used car market is the most tangible result of a problem that has plagued the global economy for the past year. Dire shortage of computer chips that has hobbled auto manufacturing. Yeah, I'll touch on that in just a second. A lack of new cars hitting the market has caused a shortage of used cars too. Raising prices and crimping sales, the crisis created political headache for the Biden admin, fueling inflation, knocking more than 2 percentage points from GDP growth in the third quarter. It's also hurting consumers who face long waits for new cars that can't fall back on the used car market as a low-price alternative. It's going to be really, really tough for consumers to buy a vehicle in 2022. You're going to have to pay a very high sticker price, Wimmer said as he watched the auction, which used to attract more than 1,000 car dealers to Manheim, Pennsylvania every week. But since the pandemic mostly operates online, yeah, there's going to be another effect that goes along with this. Now, assuming that manufacturing kicks back up, which I don't know that it's going to, getting a 2020 or 2021 car coming up in the near future, and even the far future, especially when we hit about 2050 and these become collectible, 2040. But when these come to collectible time, if some of them are still in collectible condition, because audio manufacturing sucks, it's not like it was in the 70s. But once these start to hit collector status, these things are going to go for huge money. Why? Because there's going to be low inventory out there. It's either going to be people are going to wreck what's out there, which that's going to happen. But these things are going to go for huge money at auction too, because there weren't that many of them. Because of the chip shortage, they never got released. And yeah, I mean, the Ford dealer around here does have product on the lot, not very much. Like, you can actually, I could probably go in and do donuts around the new trucks in the new truck lot over at the Ford dealer in Janesville. Maybe I should do that. No, I shouldn't do that. But I probably could. There's enough wide open space over in the new car lot. And the used car lot is a little bit better. They're actually a little bit better stocked on used cars, but yeah, the prices are definitely going up here, so. And every time I get close to there, because I want to go look at a new truck, they want to come back and throw me some money at my truck because they need the inventory. They need the inventory bad. So yeah, we're going to start seeing this come off, and this is a driver of inflation because the new car price is one of the key points to inflation off of this too. So we will see what happens with that and where that goes. But yes, they have offered me more for my truck than what I paid for it. All right, last one, and then we're out of here. From Yahoo Sports, MLB refutes Trump claim that it invited him to the World Series. From Jay Busby and Hannah Kaiser. Before the World Series arrived in Atlanta, the Braves announced that the former President Trump would attend Saturday night's game for Saturday, just before 1:30 p.m. Trump sent an email to his mailing list, which read in full, "Looking forward to being at the World Series in Atlanta tonight. Thank you to the Commissioner of Baseball, Rob Manfred, and Randy Levine of the great New York Yankees for the invite. Melania and I are looking forward to a wonderful evening, watching 2 great games." MLB disputes Trump's characterization of events. In a statement to Yahoo Sports, Hannah Kaiser, MLB officials indicated that Trump, as previously reported, requested to attend the game. In a USA Today story posted earlier this week, Atlanta Braves CEO Terry McGuirk said he called the MLB and wanted to come to the game. We were very surprised, of course. We said yes. MLB officials backed McGuirk's accounting of Trump's invitation. Trump arrived at the box the Braves provided for him shortly before 8 p.m. He and wife Melania waved to onlookers from the box located around the corner of the stadium down the right field line. Both the former president and former first lady participated in a pregame rendition of Atlanta's Tomahawk Chop. The Braves did not show Trump on the stadium screen prior to the game. Well, And that's the other side of it, is I'm sure he did go out and pay for his own ticket. I mean, he's not hurting for cash as much as they try to tell him. They try to tell us he's broke. He's not hurting for cash. Yeah, he was invited there, probably. Somebody wanted him to probably go and see it. He probably bought a ticket and a skybox so he can come out here and do this. He did the tomahawk chop and had fun. He wants to be among his people. And the people who like sports tend to be among his people. So, with that, yeah. They're just trying to do some damage control again. Say, please don't boycott us, please. We already have a mascot you don't like. All right. And with that, we're out of news for the day. But the last thing we do is one of the Ferengi rules of acquisition. We are up to... Wow, we're getting up there. We're going through these pretty quick. All right. So we did confidentiality equals profit last week from a DSI novel, The Badlands Part 4. And our next one, we are at the 31st rule of acquisition. Never make fun of a Ferengi's mother. Insult something he cares about instead. Always a little bit entertaining to come back and see, because honestly, Quark was very, and this is one of the things that came out of the DS9 series, is a big backstory on Quark. But Quark was actually very much a mama's boy. Very much a mama's boy. So was Rom. Rom even probably worse, but it's interesting that this is one of the rules of acquisition because of the way that we saw the character. And even with Nog and the way that he treated his new stepmother when Rom got married at the end of the series to the Bajoran woman. It does seem like all three of the major Ferengi that were on the program were very much mama's boys. When Quark was about to lose the bar, he went back to Ferenginar and stayed with his mom and cried and said, "Boogie, I don't know what I'm gonna do." But a lot of this goes along with the fact that the rules weren't written specifically for the Ferengi that were on the show. They were written specifically for the society of Ferenginar as a whole, which goes back to the fact of never making fun of Ferengi's mother, because women in the Ferengi society were very much viewed as a second-class citizen. They weren't allowed to earn profit. They weren't allowed to own property. They weren't allowed to engage in transactions. They were supposed to be... I mean, they weren't allowed to wear clothes for most of the series. That changed towards the end of the series, but they weren't allowed to wear clothes. And one of the earliest episodes featured a female Ferengi with smaller ears because she was female, wearing prosthetic ears to expand her ears so she could go out and spend some time with Quark and earn profit with the big boys. But according to the society and the way that they did it, yeah, no, your mother was not supposed to be, something, it wasn't supposed to be like we adhere to our mothers in our society here. They were supposed to be in old time society where your mother was just a bargaining chip and basically something that your father owned as profit. Something that your father kept as profit and property, essentially. So you could see where a son wouldn't care for his mother as much, possibly using her as a bargaining chip. And you should insult something that he does care about instead. But man, oh man, the three Ferengi that we had out on the front did not fit this profile one bit. And by the way, I am still trying to bring the your mom jokes back. That's why my pronouns are the way they are in my Twitter profile, which triggered the fuck out of somebody a few weeks ago. I thought that was kind of funny. All right, let's go. Let's change up the track and let's get out of here, because I got to do some driving here yet today. So, thank you everybody who came by and chatted with us in the live chat, that came and hung out with us, kept me honest, and some of the new faces that we saw in here. It looks like we are starting to see some growth off of this channel, so I'm pretty happy to see that. And yes, I know I need more of a beard. It's coming back. It's all rough and nice and everything, so it's going to be there pretty soon. So definitely come back and watch as we see the growth off of that here. On the ground stuff from Kenosha coming up here in a little bit. I'm going to eat some breakfast and change the scenes up for that. And I will head down there. It's probably about an hour out for me. So come back and keep paying attention to the channel, and you'll get an alert once I go live. I will make sure I've got my microphone on and we don't do this off here. We're going to look to see if there's riots, if there's any autonomous zones or anything else off of this, anything that the jurors have to go through, so come back here. Otherwise, we will see you tonight for the Red and Ed Show with Stephen Ignoramus. And some of you guys are already over simultaneously watching both of our programs as well. So we will see you then. We will see you at the next time we stream, the next time you guys are here with us. And otherwise, we'll be back here tomorrow for more contemporary and more news headlines. Until then, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.